Good morning, YouTube. Matt and Roy back again. Back to you on this very dreary October 5th, 2016. This is a Wednesday. And you guys are probably asking yourself, Matt, where have you been? Well, I've been under the weather. For the last 3 days, I've been suffering with a really, really bad fall cold. Nasal congestion. Started out with a sore throat. Then it went to nasal congestion. Now it's kind of chest congestion. You guys can probably actually hear that I'm my voice is kind of raspy, and I don't know how long this vlog's going to be because I don't want to actually lose my voice again. The last day or so, I really wasn't able to talk. I had almost no voice to speak of at all, but I wanted to give you guys at least a quick update for today. There are a few things I'm going to do. I want to go ahead and prepare another system that I have for sale, and I'll probably show you guys that once it's completed, but I'm just not up to filming the whole process this time, especially, with me basically losing my voice. Very good news on the hurricane so far. Now, whereas yesterday they were predicting that it was going to ride the coast, basically make landfall somewhere near Hatteras or the Outer Banks, now they're predicting that it's going to shear off to the east, back into the Atlantic. So if we're lucky, we may not get hardly any effects at all. Maybe a little bit of rain, but no heavy winds, no tidal flooding like they were expecting. Because as of yesterday, if the track held, and the hurricane would have gone up the eastern seaboard, it actually would have been worse than Isabel in 2003, and that would have spelled disaster for us because it's the same situation. Back in 2003, we had the ground saturated like we do now. We've had a lot of rain lately. The groundwater is very, very high, and what that does is it makes the roots of the trees very vulnerable. The roots are basically sitting in mud instead of dirt, so the roots can kind of flex. And if we were to have a hurricane, any kind of hurricane, even a category 1 right now, there'd be a good chance we'd have a lot of trees down, just like what happened with Hurricane Isabel back in 2003, 2004. Can't remember exactly what year it was, but so far it looks like we're blessed. Are we out of the woods right now? Absolutely not. This storm could still do anything. What's actually happening is, from what I understand, there's a high pressure system coming in that's actually going to help push the storm out. And that's very common around here. We get a lot of high pressure systems this time of year. But the reason that's going to work is the hurricane is much slower than anticipated. So basically, originally they thought that the hurricane was going to come before the high pressure system. So high pressure system would have had a chance to do its thing. But now that the hurricane is actually slowed down quite a bit, the high pressure system is going to hit it just at the right time, we hope. So we're just going to have to play it by ear. We're going to have to keep our eyes on the forecast. Like I said, we're by no means out of the woods, but as of right now, it is looking a heck of a lot better than it did before. If the track holds, from what I understand, we can expect some rain, not heavy rain, probably more like a nor'easter type of rain, which maybe a couple of inches, 1 to 2 inches, which we can handle. I mean, might mean some minor flooding, but we can definitely handle that. Well, I'm actually almost at home. It's funny because I'm expecting that Mom might be home. She called me. She gets to work around 8:30 in the morning. She must have called me around 9:30 when I woke up this morning. They have no power. There was an accident in the downtown area where she works, and it's knocked out power basically for a while. What's happened, from what I understand, is it was a fatality, and they have to wait for the medical examiner to come and look at the scene before they can go ahead and try to do any repairs. So very possible she's going to be coming home. I haven't heard anything from her yet, but it's just a total mess because they're training her on a new computer system now, and the guys they're doing are only there till Friday. So if she loses this whole day, they're all going to be in big trouble. They're just going to have to push their schedules back because it is vastly different from what they used before. Excuse me, guys. Well, I'm going to pause the video right now because, as you can hear, I am really starting to lose my voice. We will see what the rest of the day brings, and I will talk to you a little bit later. All right, tubers. Well, I am back home, and I thought I'd give you a quick tour of the finished floors here. They finished pretty much while we were gone. They just had to come one day yesterday and seal everything. But as you can see, it looks really good. We want to go ahead and replace this rug eventually because it's kind of worn out and really doesn't match the floors very well. But that's going to be down the road a little bit. You can see that the pattern came out really nice. Floor continues into here. And I actually found a new spot for Cassie's little scratching post and perch, and she seems to really, really enjoy it. Don't you, little girl? She's fast asleep right now. And we're kind of getting back to some normalcy here. You can see we have the kitchen table back. I spent all morning dusting the chairs and putting everything back. And again, the floor comes into here. On the edges, we decided just to have it go straight. It was the easiest way to work this. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the way they did this. I wish they used one solid piece here instead of just cutting a square, but it looks okay. You can see that the floor's pretty much even in here. One other thing we did is we had the island move over a little bit. If you remember before, the island was pretty much even with the stove. But the problem was, if we ever need to get another fridge in here, it made it hard to get a fridge around it. So basically, we only moved it over a little bit and back towards the stove a little bit. So now if we ever have to get another refrigerator in here, we won't have to take the doors off like we did the last time. Again, everything looks good here. Floor is all done underneath the desk. Behind here and in the laundry room, we just kind of put all this stuff back yesterday. Running a load of laundry right now. We're not all done yet putting everything back where it's supposed to go, but we're getting there. It's going to take a little more time. And then when we get into the hallway here, we decided to have them to just a straight pattern because it would have been too hard. It's a little too narrow to do this kind of tongue and groove pattern here, so we just had them go straight. Walk into here. And the last bit here is the bathroom. Well, kind of. That actually came really nice. And I'll show you the closets real quick. We haven't put anything on the floor in the closet yet, but, you know, works. And then the very last section was in here that they did. And we started putting some things back. You see, you got the vacuum back there. One thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to touch this up. This held the little bracket that holds Mom's ironing board and her iron. And you see over time it's kind of peeled the paint, so we'll probably touch that up before we put it back. So that is pretty much it. The floors are completely done. We are really happy. This is all the stuff here minus this little rack here that will go in the closet. So once that's done, we can go ahead and clean this all up. A lot of dust around here, still a lot of work to do, and not looking forward to it, but once all that's done, we won't have to worry about it. The floors will be good for many, many years. All right, tubers. So it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon now, and again, I'm starting to get really tired. The cold is really taking its toll on me right now. It's coming towards the tail end of it, but that being said, your body's fighting a cold like this, you tend to get really, really tired. I'm going to end the vlog here in a minute, but before I do, I want to show you what the latest weather update is. So I'm going to switch you guys around to the monitor and show you what we got going on. So the really good news for at least the short term is the storm is going to be moving away from my area. For most of you guys that have seen my channel for a while, I live in the southern area of Virginia, which is somewhere around there. But for the longest time when they were predicting the storm, they said the storm was going to go ahead and curl up the coast and make a direct hit with us. Well, now, because there's a high front coming, like I stated before, the storm is actually going to be pushed off into the ocean. But that's not the end of it. Unfortunately, instead of like most hurricanes, when they get pushed in the ocean, they just curl up here and then they dissipate somewhere out in the mid-Atlantic. This particular storm is predicted to curve back in, sit down here for a while, maybe even to the middle of the month, and then come back up the coast. So we have no idea what's going to happen at this point. This is a really weird storm. A lot of it has to do with the basically the currents in the ocean and the cycle that we're in right now. We're in the 1950s cycle, and the 50s, at least in my area, was very traumatic for storms. We had a lot of hurricanes, so we may not be out of the woods yet, but at least for the short term, we are looking pretty good. YouTube, well, that's all I have for you guys today. Please remember to like and subscribe, And as always, have a blessed day.